today, when we look at history, if we do not pay attention to it, we are blind, we are deaf, and we're dumb. So this is a very, very important thing for you to be doing. I hope it spreads out to get more and more people. One of the things I wanted to talk about briefly, the ERA, I was not as active as Kelly Buckhardt was in that, but that was, it's still, still we don't have it. I mean, it's a question of trying to get it passed. We got 30-something states, but not enough states to pass it. And, but that was in the early days when, let me go back to, let me see, my own experience with that. I was 40 years old in 1960, so you can imagine that I've lived most of this. And I feel like the ERA was something that failed, but we're having to do it in another way. We've done it with several other methods whereby actually social and cultural. Not a great deal about legal, and one of the things that I can tell you, laws are made to be broken. Culture, social and cultural attitudes cannot be broken unless you work out them over a period of years. You can pass a law 1 year and that's taken care of, but it can be broken in that. The social and cultural values are the most important things that we have, and that is a slow movement. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about it in race discrimination, racial discrimination, and women's gender, gender discrimination. We're looking at a total, I would say a total ignoring justice. Justice is basic of democracy, but for some reason or other we are, and by the way, I didn't tell you this, Brett, but I used to talk, but I'm preaching now.
Preach what?
But justice is part of our country, and we're violating it every day. We have in the past, and to me, it's an extremely important thing that we look at our next generation. I'm not the next generation. I wish I were. Some of you are next generation. Our children are the next generation, and if we don't pass on to them the things that history has taught us, this country is not going to last too far. The Roman democracy that we established will be disappear. So to me, that's one of the things that I wanted to pass on to this group. Another thing is that in my experience, I have noticed, I go back to racial discrimination as well as gender. In my early days, when all of this was going on, and during the time that prior to Briggs versus Elliott, Brown versus Board of Education, prior to that, all of this stuff and everything, in these early days when we started, prior to the 1960s, one of the most, I would say, one of the most important aspects of that was the social and cultural attitude. So many of us in those days didn't want to be a part of it. We didn't want to get involved. That was one of our biggest problems. You had families all over the state, and old families, new families. We don't want to be involved. We stay away from this. We don't get involved in the racial or the gender thing. It was a day of trying to ignore the injustices that we saw, and we did a good job of it. And what made me so aware of it was when Briggs versus Elliott passed. David Means, who was a professor at the university at the time, he and I were mandated to go to South Carolina State and set up their law library. We went, we set the library up, then Brown versus Board of Education came along. I've always regretted that I didn't do something about that. I've always regretted the fact that I didn't protest the fact that I was going down there to do something that I believed was an injustice and discriminatory and not a part of our democratic state or purposes. So that was an experience I had that I feel like made me wake up, and a lot of it. And the good thing about what you're doing, Brett, with your history here, you are showing us this movement that is moving into what is bringing it to we saw many instances where things have been brought to a head, where we had violence, we had this, that, and the other, all these occasions coming up. And this history has shown us that. I think today we've reached the cusp, we've reached the top. Now we're going to have to make a decision. I think we're going to have to make a decision with women. See, it's all been gradual, little by little by little, social, cultural, little by little. A few laws passed, sometimes ignored. You take the equal pay law. It's not effective. It's not observed. It can be the way it's set up. It makes it very difficult to bring a lawsuit. Very expensive. The case of Walmart case, they figured that was a class action. It was too big and they couldn't handle it. So we're looking at things like that. But we're looking today at an era which I think this is what we're doing and what you all are doing and what so many other people are trying to do now. We're reaching a point at which we are going to see that a decision is made. And I think it's reached that point, don't you, Brett?
Well, I think that we've been thinking that we're going to turn a corner most of my adult life, but I do believe that what we used to, in the day we used to term the contradictions need to be higher. The contradictions are pretty darn high right now when we've got this Donald Trump buffoon representing that which it is that's been the status quo. I think he's exposing the status quo for the foolishness and the corruptness that it is, which brings us closer to that point you're talking about.
Well, I think what we've reached is a point at which we're going to have to, this country is going to have to make some decisions one way or the other. We've been leading up to it, passing laws, but I think if we pass on the sense of justice and the democratic principles of this country to our young people, if we don't do that, we're not going to go anywhere. As I say, we're not the future, they're the future, and that's the thing that's most important to me, and that's why this education type thing is important, and education in the schools is important, and I don't want to say the General Assembly doesn't think so, and that's my opinion, but anyway, that's kind of the feeling I want to get this across to this group. Now the other thing is women's rights. When I was in law school, I didn't think too much about when I got out, what I was going to do. I was going to law school, that was great. I was the only woman in my class. And one day the dean walked up to me one day and said, "Miss Leverette, are you still with us?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And I almost said, "I'm going to stay here too, right there." But he didn't, he was too nice. He was kind of an Anglophile and a gentleman, so I couldn't say that. But anyway, when I graduated in '43, as many people have heard me say, I knew the door was closed, but I didn't know it was locked. And some man had the key in his pocket, I'm sure, because I could not get into any of it was a totally male profession. And so I went to work for a group of a couple of lawyers that were friends of mine that we graduated before I did. And they did what everybody else did if they found a woman who, and there were very few women lawyers in this state. I mean, there were two that finished ahead of me, and they're gone now. And I found out that what they expected you to do was secretarial work. And I didn't like that particularly, and I told them, I said, I did not go to law school to get a degree in service work, and so if you get somebody else. So fortunately, I was always able to get a job. I didn't have a problem with that because of the fact that they could give me low pay and then take advantage of a legal background. That happened when I went to work for the state. I went to work for the state in the labor department handling wage and hour law. I was paid as a statistician. I went from there to the law school and taught legal writing and legal research for 25 years, and then I went to the Workers' Comp Commission. And John West appointed me. I think he would have done it anyway, but I replaced a woman. So that meant that naturally he had to put a woman in it. I think John would have done it anyway. So that's kind of the thing that I faced, and I found out that one of the secrets I found, and you men will excuse me, women and dealing with men, there's one thing you have to do. You have to play how to play football. You have to end around run on them. Let them know that they're the greatest thing in the world, and then you do an end around run, and you'll do it every time. But I feel like that at this point, the ERA, the progress we have made is showing up in the racial discrimination and in gender. I think the progress we have made is good, but it's got to soak into our social and cultural mental state. Many of the people who have been on Hill that you've been seeing tonight and their descendants are still hanging on. But I think the time has come now that we can look at each other and say, justice is being done. I hope I see that before I die. Now, if you have any questions that I can answer, I'll be glad to do so.
I'm curious, what made you want to go to law school? How did you pick
Well,
that? I mean, even at my young age, I was told I had two choices. I could either go into nursing school or I could be a secretary.
Well, my father was a magistrate.
Excuse me. I could be a teacher.
And
Sorry,
I used to follow him around everything he did. And he was a good lawyer. He was not a graduate lawyer, but he was a good one in that regard. And I decided, I think I want to go into medicine. And I got to college, and I said, my Lord, I would have killed every person in the state if they'd gone into medicine. So I said, don't do that. And then it dawned on me that my mind is a mind of dealing with issues and not math or science. It's not. Some people have both. I don't. I have a mind in the humanities and that kind of thing. I think logic and things of that sort. Math buffaloes me. I have no use for math at all. Let other people do that. So that was what led me into it, and I think I picked the right thing, even though the time was not very good. And I was always able to get a job. It was not very flattering to your ego, but you made your own way at that time. But I have seen a lot of progress in, even though ERA is not effective today, I've seen the progress elsewhere. I regret that the pay equity issue is not effective. I feel like that that's probably one of the biggest things. I think the attack on women's reproductive rights is very, very ill-founded and improper. It's very discriminatory. I may be preaching some of the things you don't want to hear, but that's how I feel about it. I feel like that is a discriminatory move against women and against their rights. Most of the things that are coming up now is not just pay equity, reproductive rights, so much of this extreme right ideology that permeates the society today seems to be, I don't know, I won't politic it or put it into a political way, but you can draw your own conclusion there. But we do have a predominant far-right control right now, and I think that is having a lot to do with it. However, I think too that you can carry something so far and then it has to stop. And I think that that's a possibility that we will see. So a lot of things are coming to the fore now. And a lot of things that are coming to the fore have reached a time that they have to be answered. And women's rights, racial discrimination, human rights, justice. I think we've seen a point, I may be too hopeful, that this is coming to a conclusion that we have got to either go down or we've got to face it and take care of it and get it done if we're going to preserve our democracy. So that's sort of an opinionated idea. It was not history much, but I am history.